Scotty, beam me up.
Oh. Smash.
Get over here! It is pointless to resist.
Fly away, fly away, fly away, to a flavor fantasy, bubblicious. Bubble has the ultimate flavor. Timeless space fills your mind. Flavor deep, flavor wide. Your mouth can't resist it, nor can your mind. Come on, a funky flavor ride. Flavor that blows you away. It's your flavor fantasy. Bubblicious has the ultimate flavor. It's got the taste you just can't resist. Bubblicious.
All right, so we are in the Geek Den with Mr. Dennis Jagard from 10 Foot Pole. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
It is an honor to have you here. And I mean that in every stretch of that word.
Mm-hmm.
Winning card.
Is it kind of the same
Uh-oh.
thing for when Ray was in here? We're not worthy.
Yeah.
We're not worthy. We're scum. Stop.
Well, I felt special for a minute, but now you said you do it for everyone. So
Only those
you
who
thinking?
mean a lot to it.
like build me up and then take me down.
Say that to all the girls, right?
Yeah,
No.
you guys got some stuff coming up. Yeah. 10 Foot Pole's got some stuff coming up. I know you're doing an acoustic tour, yeah?
Well, I'm trying. I mean, I kind of have
Right.
everything's just kind of in limbo while we kind of wait and see what's going on. But making a record right now, a rock record, and then I want to use a bunch of those songs and make an acoustic record. So I got plenty of like kind of work to do if I'm stuck at home.
Yeah.
And
Right on.
and I really like the songs. Like I think they're worthy of being both in a rock record and an acoustic record. So I'm proud of what's going on and just trying to crank it out. And then, but I am really excited and hoping I can do an acoustic house party tour. And the basic, the guys for that, the whole rationale, if you will, is to go to Quebec to rehearse with the band to prepare for a European tour, which was supposed to happen this summer and then was supposed to happen in December. And now we're looking at February or March of next year, trying to do like a Europe club tour, basically. Like I think like a little headlining tour. But two of my guys are in Quebec, and so Boise to Quebec is a good, couple thousand miles. And so rather than fly there, I thought, since I've been making payments on this tour van that I bought a couple of years ago, which was a great investment. I'm trying to rationalize that investment. So I thought, what if I just drive it and just do short drives and play at people's houses and just have low pressure, like, maybe 25 people, and just sing songs and meet people and tell stories. And I think the basic idea is to try to connect with people and have something that no one else is really doing. Like, rather than me paying the whole band and like going into pressure of like, playing in clubs in cities where maybe only 50 people will show up. If it's just me, then it's just me, like kind of that I'm risking, and way less overhead, and also trying to get people to kind of commit to it. Like the host of the thing just kind of put up a guarantee, cover my costs, and then and also I'm thinking it might be more flexible because as I'm a sound engineer for live concerts, like concert tours and whatnot. And in the past, I've had some serious conflicts where, because of 10-foot pole, I lost work or could have lost work. And in my line of business, it's kind of like a roller coaster. Like if you get one job, it could open the door to a whole bunch of stuff. So if I turn that down or lose it, it kind of closed the door on maybe. Just for example, I worked for Jimmy Eat World. I did 500 shows. And so, so I always think about, like, what if I said no to them on the first one?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like that's a lot of work. So my idea being there that as I get older, if I just lower the bar, like just doing house parties rather than clubs or big venues, then not too many people have to show up. And also there's probably flexibility. Like if I'm going to play at your house in September and we say, hey, it's going to be early September. And then, you know, Britney Spears asked me to do sound for her. And I call you and say, hey, I really appreciate this, but is there any way we can move it to December? You know, the likelihood is you don't have your living room booked in mid-December, and you might say yes. So at least that's my idea. So that's
It's not a happening place in my living room, so you're safe.
Yeah, right.
That's the thing is most clubs are booked out like weeks, months in advance, way in advance. So you can't just shift it.
Yeah, that's definitely an original idea coming in.
That's the idea. Like whether or not it could happen, or, you know, like also, you know,
like
in Canada, I probably can't just move it to January because I probably can't drive across Canada in January. But but at least it could be flexible. And, you know, I would give people their deposits back or whatever, and then just say, but please, let's do this in March or something. And so I don't think all the work that I'm doing lining up all these hosts everywhere is wasted, because even if it doesn't happen in September, you know, maybe in the spring or at some point I'm going to be in their city, even whether I'm on that tour or just out doing sound for some other artist. And I'll just, you know, call them up and say, hey, next month I'm going to be in your town. I got a day off. Can I punish you with a guitar? That's basically the plan, to try to, like, as I get older, try to find ways that I could connect with people who want to hear the songs. Because I want to play them. I want to play the songs. I just want to find people who wouldn't mind hearing them. If I come to you, it's in your living room. It's like you don't have to worry about parking or a loud opening act or a mean bouncers, or, you know, like you can do whatever you want at your house. So, you know, the kids can be there. I'll try not to swear too much or whatever. And you know, there's a lot of benefits to, you know, I could play the little towns in between rather than only play the major markets and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the goal, to make it short drives and meeting people and being relaxed and like less pressure and less risk.
Yeah.
There's a few guys around Edmonton, Dennis, that I've been talking to on Facebook about splitting deposits and sharing, and we're just working out a schedule now to try and, I mean, who knows with the border, right? So
yeah,
but it's looking better here anyway.
I was kind of waiting. Feel like here, like the vaccines are now like well into it, and it's like, I mean, at least people are treating it like everything's normal. So like things are fully opening up, and I mean, at this point, it's kind of like, well, if people don't vaccinate and they get sick, it's kind of on them. So
yeah.
So people are kind of like no mercy at this point.
Yeah.
So so hopefully Canada will get feeling good too, and to where September's not unreasonable. And that's, you know, knock on wood. I'm not pushing it at all, but I'm just kind of waiting to see what happens. And then if it starts happening like it is here, then I'll go that direction. And I need a few more people to make the way home work, because I think I can get across Canada now at this point. But from the East Coast back to Boise, I don't know. Like there's some people in Florida, there's some people in Texas, but not enough people in between yet to make those short drives. That's kind of the goal, is to just be like, you know, to not be on 12-hour drives. Yeah. And you know, if it's just small house parties that, like, you know, you could easily have a few in a city if it was a big enough city. Like, it's not like everybody knows each other. And you know, even in Edmonton, really, like I could easily do like Leduc and Edmonton, and that's not too far from Calgary. And, you know, there's quite a few spots we could do different things, and people wouldn't even necessarily know each other. And as long as there's people willing to have the party. I don't mind staying in one place for too long. I don't mind not doing long drives.
I,
I do need to find a Thunder Bay job. Because
That's a gorgeous part of Canada for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a long drive from Winnipeg. If the border was easy, I'd go from Winnipeg down south and through because I have friends in Minneapolis and Chicago and Detroit and everything. But the borders are too dodgy. Like I don't want to be crossing once I'm up there, I better just kind of, hang out for a while.
For a minute, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and right now that's the hot spot here is right around Manitoba. Like that's the worst province right now, and they're locked right up.
Yeah, but give it a few months and.
Oh yeah, that's the same with Alberta.
Hopefully everybody will be having parties. I mean, because people here were just raging too. Like once it opened up, they were like live music and the cover lady things. Like, yeah, I mean, people were dancing to wedding bands and stuff like just like it was the Foo Fighters. They were just stoked.
I would do that right now. I would go party at a wedding just to be in front of a band. I would not even feel bad about it.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Same.
Cabin fever. People were ready to get out.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I met up
Goddamn
with
right.
yesterday. That was
They are.
Yeah, that was a good time out after God even knows how long of just being in the house.
I don't think I've left my county other than for emergency purposes, and probably it's been over a year for sure.
Yeah.
Like other than work, because I went the next county over, but it's 30 miles. So it's just, it was good to get out of the county and do something in a different part of the state that I don't get to do very often. So
Yeah.
And I'm kind of a shut-in as it is, so it was just nice to get out.
Yeah, I was social distancing before it was cool.
Yep.
We just call it Wednesday around here. But it is fun to see people. I don't know if you guys saw. Was it James Dodge? I went and met him. Like he's a guy from Denver area, or I don't know if it's Denver, but Colorado area, and he was out here on a job, and I drove a little bit and went out and met him. I basically went and convinced the hotel people to let me sing in a boardroom. So it was like, a hotel in the middle of nowhere in Idaho. And I was just rocking out, playing acoustic guitar, just punishing James for an hour. And then finally they're like, we had some complaints from upstairs that it's pretty loud down here. So I don't even need a PA. We just,
Did you say you're ready to rock?
Come on down, party in the boardroom. But no, James had a good time, and I got out of town for a minute, and it was cool.
That's awesome.
I wore my mask at least to a certain point, and then that was it. So, but to me, I don't mind. Like it doesn't need to be a big show to be satisfying. Like just human contact, like just not being alone.
Right.
Yeah.
Just playing to the computer, like doing this but then singing and doing like the virtual shows and stuff was kind of almost more depressing than not playing a show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Felt like, I don't know, it just
because
weird.
you need that live audience. Like,
and some people do it better than others where they're
live on it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It seems like you're a lot more connected to your audience too, just from the stories you're telling now. So, yeah, it's got to be rough.
And
we lost Joe. He'll be back.
He'll be back.
Yeah, he'll be back.
Yeah, and I think different people have different kind of interest levels in having an interaction with the audience. And that's another reason why I wanted to do the acoustic gigs, is I felt like that's one of my strong points. Is that, like, a lot of people feel like they might be better off keeping a mystery about the lead singer. Like, what's this guy really about? You don't want to meet your heroes or anything, but I'm not sure, but I feel like I'm a pretty nice guy. And so most people, by actually meeting them, it actually helps the reputation of the band and makes them more interested in the songs, and so
Absolutely.
I felt like doing the acoustic tour for me was a good fit, because I want to meet people and they get something, and the band would get bigger as opposed to smaller. Like there's some artists where if you saw them, you'd be like, I don't ever want to see that band again. Like if you met them, you're like, that guy was a dick. But I'm sure there are some people who would be rubbed the wrong way by my personality too. You know, there's a percentage, but as far as percentages go, I think I'm higher on the people are more likely to want to see the band afterward as opposed to want to boycott the band.
Mm.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like a Ted Nugent or something.
Is that a philosophy that you've developed, Dennis? Is like being so approachable, or is that something you've just done through the whole time as a musician?
I think that's just a personality thing of, I assume it's just a personality thing. I mean, it wasn't like I entered with the plan of, you know, here's the marketing technique. Like I'm going to be nice.
Yeah.
You know, it's just more like, it's just more like, seeing people who weren't nice and go like, what is wrong with those people? Like, why were they even, I remember one time we played a show, and someone gave out shirts or something. And our singer at the time said, we're not here to make friends. And I got his point, because he had invested in the merch and he didn't think we should be giving it away, which I agreed with. But when he said we're not here to make friends, I was like, well, aren't we? Like, what are we here for if we're not here to make friends? Like we were in Europe or somewhere. Yeah, really. It was like we came a long way, and like we should be making an impression. We should be meeting people and connecting with people and having people give a shit about the band. Like, and so I didn't get people who, like, if you want to be in a band and you want people to listen to your songs, why would you treat them as, I don't know, why would you push them away in any way? Like that just seemed like counterproductive. But it wasn't a plan. It was just that's just my personality. I think I'm in a band because I like communicating and sharing and
yeah, absolutely.
Oversharing.
Well,
yeah.
I'm not in a band and I do that all the time.
Yep, absolutely. Me too.
Yep.
And so, yeah, you're a great storyteller. I've watched interviews with you from other channels and everything like that, but we're the Geek Den. What we talk about is a little bit different. I need to know, are you a Turtles fan?
Inquiring minds.
I can't tell if he froze or he...
Am I frozen?
Nope, you're good on my end.
Mine too. If you can't hear him, Dennis, he had asked if you were a fan of the Ninja Turtles.
Oh, I didn't hear that. I thought it was okay. Am I a fan of? No, I can't say. I don't hate them, but I never got interested in them. It never. I think I go through periods where I watch TV or don't watch TV or films, and maybe they got big while I was had my blinders on.
Right.
Yeah.
To cultural references. There's some things that I know. There's some shows that I watch or geek out about quite a bit, and then there's others that just go right over my head. And Ninja Turtles is one that was just gone. I don't know why. I like martial arts. I like old kung fu movies and stuff. But,
nice.
I mean, I'm not like totally into it, but as a kid, like that would, if I was ever changing the channels and saw some kind of, any kind of kung fu, I'd be into it. So maybe I would like that
Bruce Lee and stuff.
And I just haven't, or even even the American, what's his name, pretending to be Asian.
David Carradine.
David Carradine.
Kung Fu the Legend continues. Grasshopper.
The Shaolin Grasshopper. Yeah. But any of that stuff, like Bruce Lee or even even the goofy ones, like my master could kick your master's ass and all that. Yeah. they call me Bruce. Maybe there was
something
a film
like
called
that.
They Call Me Bruce.
Yeah, they call me Bruce.
Yeah, and these
are you excited for
my master could kick your master's ass? They get in a fight over it.
Are you excited for Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings?
I'm not familiar with it. I'm not familiar with
It's a Marvel Studios movie coming up this year.
Oh,
It's a Marvel Kung Fu movie. It's the first
nice.
foray into Kung Fu. Oh yeah, dude, it looks badass.
Oh yeah. I'm excited
the
about
trailer
Black
fun.
Widow. I'm kind of bummed that Disney has the
I am too.
like extra money involved or whatever to see it.
Yeah.
But I liked Mulan. You know, I mean, it's all like, I don't care whether things are commercial or not. I just, you know, whatever works. And I was excited to see Mulan, like the live action version, and Black Widow should be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not a big reader of graphic novels, but I especially appreciate the Cliff Notes versions where I could get kind of the gist of it in a few hours, like the Umbrella Academy or whatever, like you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's good shit.
I couldn't be bothered to read it, but I thought it made for great, you know, short TV.
Yeah. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I never checked that one out myself.
Yeah, I haven't caught up on
It's
that
worth
either.
it. Yeah, that's worthy of your time.
I'll have to check that out.
I feel like I've failed as a geek right now.
Oh, there's a lot worse ways you could spend 20 hours.
It's
No, I mean it's entertaining. It's not hard to watch. Once you start watching it, I think once you get past the first hour or so, you'll be hooked. I think, you know, I don't know. That's just my guess, but
No.
it's pretty easy on the. That's a good story.
Now,
I find a lot of stories like that take you a little bit to get caught up in. Like you watch like, I don't know. And then it's 20 hours of your life gone all at once.
Yeah. And that's actually, I really enjoy that you can binge watch things these days, like pretty easily. Like when, some things like Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones or those kind of things where in the old days you'd have to wait. And I mean, I guess you do if you watch it first release here, but a lot of things I found out about when they were already fully up. So then I just spent like a few days straight catching up.
Yeah.
I'm actually watching Breaking Bad with one of my sons right now.
Awesome.
He started watching it and we found out he's only like 13 or 14. And it was kind of like, this is inappropriate. And then I'm like, well, but I guess I'd rather watch it with him and try to, you know, give him some good guidance and and plus I get to watch it again. But yeah, I mean, kids are going to do what they're going to do anyway. I might as well be there with them and get to discuss, you know, like, you know, why would this science teacher, you know, suddenly become start a criminal enterprise? What does that say about our economic and healthcare systems?
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Fair point. I absolutely love that show. It's one of the best shows that was ever on TV, as far as I'm
I
concerned.
agree.
Yeah. And isn't there new Better Call Saul coming up? Or maybe it's already out and I just haven't seen it yet.
Ooh.
Yeah.
There's
I've been trying to keep up on that too. That was not only is it a great show, but for a comedian, he really nails that greasy lawyer, Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah. Were you a Mr. Show fan?
I didn't watch a lot of it, but I seen some of it, and him and Cross, whatever Cross, it was
David
really
Cross.
good on it. Yes.
Yeah. If you look in the audience, sometimes you can see me. Yeah. I went to at least 2 or 3 tapings of it. I lived in Hollywood at the time, and some of the guys in our band and our merch guy and stuff were like really into it. And we're always there. And if you saw our video for The Getaway, I just forgot his name. From Just Shoot Me, the comedian.
David Spade.
Not him, the big guy. Brian. Brian
Posehn.
Yeah. So he's in the beginning of. Well, he's in our video called The Getaway. Yeah. And that's the connection. Is that he was not only in Mr. Show, but he was a writer, and so you know.
Okay.
basically they're like pot buddies with our merch guy and stuff. And and that's how the world works. Like, I didn't realize it at the time. I thought it was cool for not, imbibing, but really like everything gets done based on who feels comfortable smoking weed because like all my coolest connections were like second, what do they call it in LinkedIn, like second tier, or second, like how many Kevin Spaceys you are away from or no Kevin,
how many
Kevin Bacon's degrees of separation.
how many degrees of separation there are. Yeah. So you have how many degrees of separation, and it's always the separation, the degree is always somebody who smoked pot with somebody. It's always like, they were at something and then they both went outside and like, hey, do you got any weed? And yeah. And then all of a sudden they end up being best buddies. And then, then Dennis, the clean cut straight edge kid, like, gets to meet somebody because I have lots of not straight edge buddies. Straight edge anymore.
Hey, it has its perks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what non-smokers think of smokers too, is that all the deals are done over a cigarette. And then when you come in, they're like, what did I miss?
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. All of it. Yeah. And golfing is that way too. I think in some professions, like it's all about golfing. And
yeah.
So I guess if I had to live my life over again, I would probably start learning how to play golf, smoking, everything. Not because it's fun or worthwhile that way, but just because it's critical to your networking.
Builds all those
for networking.
Yep.
You're not wrong about that, Dennis. You're absolutely right.
I'm convinced. I mean, I've seen enough of it to know, but it's kind of too late for me to start. I mean,
hey kids.
I mean, after not smoking for so long, it's just that's kind of a hard one to pick up, especially as a singer. Like I already get like a coughing feeling in my throat.
Yeah,
and, I just can't do it. I just can't hack it.
Yeah, I don't recommend it. I really don't.
I mean, how would you hire for that? Looking for second degree of separation assistant.
That's a good idea.
Greasy drug dealers.
Voice,
that's
by the
a
way.
good idea. That's like a really capitalist approach to it. Was like, yeah, I can outsource this. See, I was thinking I needed to learn how to play golf, but really I just need an assistant who's really good. And then I just like go out and hang out.
If he smokes weed, he'll meet all those guys too. It's brilliant.
Yeah, that's it. Just outsource it. Outsource the networking. But that's the thing. There's a level of trust that develops between people who share vices.
Yeah,
and I don't know if second Kevin Bacon. You might meet the people, but you won't ever have the trust of somebody who's like,
Yeah, is he cool?
Yeah, they're risking going to prison together or whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
Right? Like traumatic shared trauma or whatever.
It's like that scene in Dazed and Confused. Hey, man, are you cool? I guess. Okay. He's just asking if you get high, dude.
It's all a code.
Yeah, it really is.
Yep, it is.
You should come up with the stupidest codes back in the day, like for when I wanted to score weed. It's readily available now. Like you drive like 30 minutes to Ontario to the dispensary. Like, yeah, because we live in the same state, Dennis. Woohoo! And it's very readily available, and it should be coming to a store near Nissa anytime soon. But back in the day, it was such a bullshit hassle.
Oh my God. It still is in Pennsylvania.
Like, you'd go over to some dude's house, some sketchy dude's house, crackheads and tweakers, and you have to mingle with these people. And
whatever happened to specialization, am I right?
Yeah, don't you guys miss that? I mean, that's the thing. Like all those cool
It's all
code
part of the
words.
experience, you know.
The challenge was part of the this feeling of satisfaction.
And you go there and you say, I would like to buy some weed. I don't have any weed, but I have heroin. I love that initiative,
Not
but
what I
no,
want,
thank you.
so-
That's not the same thing.
You stop trying to push your sales on me.
You should go into car sales with that kind of initiative.
Hey, I'm looking for some shrubbery. What? Pot, jackass, pot. Yeah, dumbass codes like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we never said it was a
Mhm.
smart thing. It's just
No.
So,
No, we were
Dennis,
20.
look, your acoustic album's out now, and it's awesome, by the way. But a question I had about it is, how much different was it for you recording this acoustic album by yourself as opposed to with the band and on a band album and doing a punk album?
Well, it was the first record that I made by myself. So it was very different, both because it was acoustic and because I was the producer, basically. So it was even the plan before the pandemic happened. I just wanted to be low budget, and I thought I wasn't gainfully employed at the time, and I thought I might as well work on something on my own. And the plan was to kind of try to do it myself, but then if I just sucked, then give it to somebody else to mix. Like, I was pretty sure I could get the tracking done, but I didn't know if I would do a good enough job mixing for myself. And so I didn't know how to approach it. You know, I mean, I'm not a professional recording person, but I've done enough records with other people that I had a pretty good idea of how to do it. And so for me, it was all new. Just kind of, I had made recordings at home before, but not with the intention of having it be like the released version.
Mhm.
I think on Escalating Quickly, I tried to do the guitars remotely, and then I ended up just doing it all with Ryan in Ryan's studio. Like, I tried to do it with DIs and in hotel rooms and stuff, because I was working in different places, and it just wasn't as good as, he wasn't happy with how it ended up, or just, we ended up thinking, well, let's just redo that part. And we just did the whole thing in his place eventually. So right now, this is the first time I'm recording electric guitars. And as you could kind of tell by my room, but I put up a bunch of acoustic kind of treatment. I moved my guitar amp into a hallway, like under the stairs. Basically, there's a closet, and I just emptied all the crap that was in there except for the sleeping bags, and put a bunch of acoustic stuff, and then put the speaker cabinet in there. So I'm actually tracking with a real amplifier, guitar amp, but I can hear my speakers and everything in this room because it's so far away. Like, I built a 50 foot mic speaker cable, but I kept the amp head in here like they do at real studios, and I can kind of dial in the sounds or whatever and play it. But then I'm also playing into a DI too, so that if that amp sounds crappy, if later we decide like, oh, we want less distortion or whatever, then can use the DI channel to just with a plug-in or whatever to either reamp it or to do a modeled sound or whatever. So there's that flexibility of the back, the fallback. Like if whatever I do sucks, there's like a clean DI version that somebody could rebuild it with. Because the hard thing is the performance, like capturing the performance. And so the cool thing about being at home is that I have time. Like today, I wrote this song. I wrote this song, and then I think it's a really great song, but I think 10-Foot Pole fans really just want to hear something super fast, and it's actually a love song. And so if I just do it as a rock song, they won't care about it. So I just decided to do like the double time version, but to make it work over the vocals, I had to make the tempo super fast, like fast where I can barely play it, like the palm muted, like, and so I was here this morning, like for hours, just trying to get it right. And then later, like with editing, like listening to like 50 different takes, like just like super fast, like palm muting stuff. And And the cool thing is like if I was at a studio with Ryan, well, actually with Ryan, he would probably just like take one part of it and then just cut and copy and paste it. Whereas I did like the whole things and just kept doing it.
Yeah.
But so the cool thing is that I got all the time in the world to do it. And the bad thing is I got all the time in the world to do it. Like if it was with Ryan, he would just like take one little snippet that I did and just probably just copy, paste and be done. Whereas with me, it was like doing like, 75 takes at this point. And then later having to listen back and go like, you take 79, the first 3 notes I like, and take, whatever. and just cutting and pasting. So, anyway, so the cool thing about doing it at home is I don't have to release it until I'm ready. And that could be, I could spend a lifetime doing it. I won't spend a lifetime, or at least I don't plan on it, but I could. And that knowing that I don't have that pressure makes it easier to perform. Like same with singing. It's like when I was making records in the 90s, there were times when it was like 3 a.m. and they'd be like, oh no, don't sing too hard because you got 4 more songs to do today. We're behind schedule and you got to do it, And so like when we were doing Unleashed, and it's like, well, I want to sing hard because I want people to think of me as an aggressive singer. But when you sing hard, you tend to go sharp, like out of pitch. And so so for example, with Unleashed in particular, like I didn't like my vocal sound because I felt like it was a lot more timid than how I would sing live. And that was exactly it. Was like, okay, you've got to sing 3 more songs, so don't sing too hard. You'll blow out your voice. Whereas at home now, I'm kind of like, I'm just going to scream it. And if I'm out of pitch, I'm going to do like 30 takes. And if I lose my voice, I'll just try it tomorrow, and
yep.
By not having that pressure, there's more chance that I'll actually hit the note anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it. And there's less, and there's more chance, and there's less chance of hurting my voice. Cause when you think, oh, I need to be careful of my voice, it like, I think your brain is sending signals to your throat to like swell up. It's like inflammation and stuff is happening. Like while it's just having that thought makes things worse. It's it's the psychology of not having pressure changes the whole how you can perform. I think. I mean, some amount of pressure helps bring out the best in you, but too much pressure causes suckage.
Yeah, it's probably like that's on the spectrum between performing live on a stage and then having the freedom to just, like you said, just do it until you're happy with it. Where in the moment on the stage, you got one crack and that rush is enough just to get you through that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm guessing.
Sometimes it does suck. And sometimes when you're on tour, it's like you're at a festival or something and your voice is already wrecked from other shows and the pressure does make it worse. And you get up on stage and you're like sucking, and you just, that's what it is. That's live shows. Yeah. Some shows are better than others. And that's another reason why I think it'd be cool to do house party tours is because there's a lot less pressure. It's like, if I suck tonight, I'm only sucking in front of 25 people. Yeah. And the reality is that thought in my head means that there's way less chance that it'll actually suck.
Absolutely.
Whereas if there's 25,000 people and I'm going like, oh shit, my voice is wrecked. It like my throat will go, and it'll be worse.
Everybody.
Yeah. Sometimes the adrenaline just gets going and you're okay, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's just like, that's a weird thing about voices. It's an organic instrument and it's hard to predict and it's hard to control because at the end of the day, like relaxing and not worrying usually ends up with a better result, but it's hard to not worry when you have real like stress, real pressure, real, I'm about to sing in front of a bunch of people or whatever. And it's stressful. And that to me also makes me appreciate even more like doing sound for someone like Prince. Like that guy was singing in front of 40 million people at the Super Bowl. Yeah. Like, and he knew 40 million people are watching me and I'm going to nail this note. And that's a weird thing about like, like there's a thin line between like, whether that's arrogance, being cocky or or like amazing confidence. And it's, I can appreciate that, at least for him, was like, oh, like he'd rise to the occasion, like knowing that there was that level. He just had, you know, and some parts of him were a dick too, where he had that arrogance or whatever. But, but as a performer, being able to like hold it together in front of 40 million people, not just hold it together, but he kicked ass.
Cool under pressure, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
I keep forgetting that that's kind of your thing, Dennis, is the whole sound thing. Did you work for Weird Al?
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, that's my next gig. Well, I mean,
wow,
that's my next real job. I can't tell you anything about it, but
right.
No.
But in roughly a year, there's supposed to be a starting of touring, and knock on wood, it was supposed to start months ago. It keeps getting pushed. But it's funny because our governor just said it's time to get back to work, and I'm like, well, in 11 months I've got a job.
Yeah.
So thanks for shutting down
you got
the
to
federal
give her
disaster
thanks.
Relief.
Well, Mr.
Thanks,
Weird Al,
Brad.
if you can see this, we got a hostage and we ain't letting him go.
You guys got to get out there and take those Walmart jobs.
Yeah,
it's time to get to work.
I was just gonna say that was the very first concert I ever went to. Was a Weird Al concert at the Western Idaho Fair in 1999.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah, he put on a hell of a show. It was amazing.
I had no idea that he's as big as he is. When I got the job, when I first got the call, I don't know, it was like maybe 5 years ago, when I first started working for Weird Al. I just assumed it was more like a club gig. I don't know why, but I just thought, oh, it's a Dr. Demento guy. You know, he probably gets 700 people. Like, I had no idea, you know, and then I was on tour at the Hollywood Bowl to like 14,000 people, 2 nights. And I was like, I would ask for more money if I would have known he was, because I also thought it'll be kickback. Like, it'll be like, oh, we'll pull into a club, we'll set up, do the show. Like, no, we pull in at like 8 and 7 in the morning and start like, it's like lights and video wall. And like, it's a real, like,
it's a high
profile artist tour. It's not as big as a lot of, like, you know, it's not a, you know, a Taylor Swift tour, but it still is. It's not little, and it's not an 8-hour day.
Yes,
it's like a 14-hour day, basically, something like that. At least
he made my 2021 release in a song this year already, and it made my heart grow 3 sizes in one day. I love it to bits. He's so good.
Yeah, it's one weird thing about it for me is that every time I hear one of the songs he does, the original, it just doesn't sound right because I'm used to the lyrics on everything now. And you know, like I said, lately I've been doing little like cover bands and stuff around town just to kind of hustle and keep money flowing. And it's just so weird to hear those songs without his vocals.
La Bamba, what the hell is that?
Yeah. And I mean, like, you know, I prefer his lyrics in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I think as far as singers go, I think he's a really underrated singer because
he is.
In this new song, he raps and it is so clear and so, I understand every word of it. He is such an impressive artist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. His stuff always sounds good. And he works hard. He works hard to, when we were on tour, like if there was a day off on a lot of days off, he flew out to do like voiceover work on some Disney project or something. Like he doesn't slow down. I mean, the same thing was with Prince. Was like, those guys it's not like a fluke that they were successful. I mean, some parts could be luck, but and some parts are like having amazing talent, but some parts also just this work ethic that these guys like they could slow down and take a break and whatever, but no, like, you know, I'm taking a break and Weird Al's flying to LA to do some voiceover. And that's one reason why he's huge, is that kids know him as voices on cartoons, or, you know, like there's so many different markets that he hits with all of his little projects, that it's like a little project, but his face or his voice or whatever gets out in front of people. and all of a sudden he has all these new fans from a new generation that would not have heard of him if he wasn't in all these cartoons, for example.
Oh yeah.
When you think about it, he's kind of like the last of the Mohicans in that aspect. Like, child stars. He always had that childlike aspect to him. He was able to do all that stuff, like the Weird Al show, things like that. He was able to sell it to kids, and he's kind of the last one left that can.
Yeah, because he doesn't swear. He doesn't do anything political. He doesn't do he's kept it open to all these different audiences, and yet he's like so far like down the spectrum that he's also open to a very niche crowd. Like it's open to people, but it's also there's a whole niche of kind of like Lady Gaga, except he doesn't call his fans monsters and stuff. But it's the same basic idea of like people who feel left out can relate to Weird Al, and so he ends up with a lot of these just really diehard fans who are love what he does, but also feel like kind of connected and feel like, oh, here's an artist for me.
Yes. Yeah. The first CD I ever got was Bad Hair Day, and that was the first concert I ever went to.
Oh, that was the first cassette I ever had, Joe. So there's a commonality between us, my brother.
My man. I knew there was a reason we were friends. I mean,
one of my first concerts was Black Flag.
Oh man!
Wow!
Like around 1978 or 79, I was 10 or 11, and
dang,
my dad was like a rocket scientist, whatever. Like he worked for NASA and Lytton and made inertial navigation systems for cruise missiles and things. But on the side, he had this business where we filmed football games with film, and also had sound equipment and stages. And so when I was about 10 or 11, we had all these wood stages in our backyard. And one time he dragged me out. I remember it was Devonshire Downs. And so we were doing the stages for Black Flag. And so my dad shows up and he's like, oh, that's it. It's 1 o'clock. They said they were going to be done. Start pulling the stage. And they're still playing. And this is in the days when punk rock was a lot scarier back then. Things are starting to get dangerous again, with at least in our culture here. Like things are starting to get like violent and deadly again. But for a while, punk was pretty relaxed and cute. But in 79 at a Black Flag show, like that audience was scary. So I was like kind of, hey dad, let's go to Denny's and get some pancakes, like I didn't want to see my dad get, just hit with the switchblade or whatever, like just shanked it, because who's this old guy pulling the stage out from underneath Black Flag, And it was a big show too. It was like at Devonshire Downs is probably 1,000 people or more in the audience. Like it was a gnarly, scary underground punk show. And,
79 was that Dez or Keith singing?
I don't remember because I was a kid. I wasn't a fan. I was just some kid at the show going like, wow, like
what is this?
I think I'm gonna be a fan.
I imagine concerts being
like this.
The Beatles and like girls screaming and at that age that was my idea of what concerts would look like, was kind of like the Ed Sullivan Show with the Beatles, like I want to hold your hand. And then I go there and it's just like guys like dressed up like Fonzie but not pretty, more like Nicky, like the bad guys from Grease that were like all had switchblades and were gonna stab you in the back alley, and this band with guys just screaming and wailing and horrible noise, like I'm sure it was a terrible PA. You couldn't even understand the songs. It wasn't until a few years later that I actually got, I think one of my first punk records was just because it looked cool in a record store. Like not like these days where you hear stuff and then decide to buy it. It was just like, oh look, Black Flag. I saw them when I was a kid. I should check out this record. And it was like Fade to Black or something. It was like all the different singers and whatever that one. It was like a collection of all their old songs. There was like 5 versions of Gimme, Gimme, Gimme. And that was one of my first punk records. Like I had no idea what to expect. It just was like, oh, this looks cool. It's black. And this was a band that I saw a few years ago. I should check this out.
Yeah. I love hearing people's punk rock origin stories, man.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it was good times.
That is so cool.
Yeah, that actually that's what I wanted to bring up, because like for us, you kind of led the charge in that era. And like, what's the comparison between, like you said, punk used to be badass, and then it kind of spawned into reaching people like us, like the nerdy, the people with feelings,
I was stoked about that, actually.
That's what I mean, like that.
Yeah. I mean, when I was 12 or 13, I did like the lyrics to Fear and stuff, but then, but I was also, I was around people who would like get drunk and get in fights and whatever. And I was just not into that at all. Like, as far as the punk scene so for me, that would have been like 82, 83, when I was kind of transitioning from being a classic rock / metal fan, like kind of Black Sabbath and whatnot, into like being in a punk band, trying to learn how to play and listening to, and the stuff that I remember the first was like the BYO, Someone Got Their Head Kicked In, and Old Social Distortion and Minor Threat, and what, like Suicidal Tendencies album came out. That was like, wow. It was kind of a cool like metal factor. And then and then we ended up, as we were actually playing shows, I was exposed to stuff like at Cathay de Grande in Hollywood. There were actual touring bands going through, so I got to see East Coast bands there. And then in Simi Valley area, there were the local bands from Oxnard, like Aggression and Ill Repute and Dr. No. Those bands played backyard parties, and we could open for them, basically. So it's kind of like, so we got to, play with Stalag 13, for example. And that was cool. Like, to be able to play with bands that had real records. And then eventually we kind of went into that too. But so that was kind of already transitioning, I think, from the tough guy 80s into, I think it seemed like the beginning of a new era when I heard No Effect's The Longest Line EP. That for me was kind of a groundbreaking, like, oh wow, like this is going poppy, and it's like kind of, it's still aggressive and still metal, but very poppy, and could reach a whole different crowd, and and that was kind of in the era where we kind of went that direction too, and changed our name and stuff from Scared Straight to 10 Foot Pole.
Yeah. I guess it's the same story, for like people like me, because like I found you guys on compilations at first. I was first getting into punk rock, and I found like My Wall and ADD, and it was me. It was my story, and that's how I related to punk rock. Honestly, like I never got into the violent side. I always got into like the more thought out, like
the fun side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. Like lyrically,
hey, let's have fun together. And like,
yeah.
Let's just go jump around and just have a blast. I mean,
yeah. And that did exist for us in the 80s too. Like, so I was a wrestler in high school, so I was a jock too. But but I was really, really into wrestling. And so I wanted to work out before my senior year, because it was like the big senior year. But I went on tour across the country in 1985 with Scared Straight and Ill Repute. And how I stayed in shape was in the pit. Like during Ill Repute, every night I was in the pit their whole set. And so there were my band members, and we're like, dancing with each other. But then there was just, friendly people in all these cities, like at underground shows across the country. And it was amazing. And I was hooked. Like, and there were like, there were negative elements. There was always like a thing of possible danger, because it was, it was underground. Like it was very, parties in the woods in Kansas, and, just, random. And well, I mean, we saw at least one factor of it in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Our vehicle got stolen that had all our gear in it. That was kind of the end. It wasn't exactly the end. We played one more show in Baltimore, I played on this PV amp that didn't have any distortion, and it was kind of like it was kind of cool. Like it felt like Minor Threat, like playing with like really like almost. But then the solos were just like like pure tone, like jazz.
Yeah.
And, of course, I wasn't a good enough player to pull that off, but we weren't too worried about it. But so that tour got cut short, but not before we had spent 3 or 4 weeks already crossing the country, and I was hooked. I mean, that was it. Like we toured again later. The Christmas vacation, we went on a tour with
Attack! They rose above the jungle. New battle birds.
Battle birds!
Airplanes become battling birds of prey. Heroic Sky Pice clenches his claws. Night Slayer shows his dark side.
Battle birds!
But Terror Dactyl is tearing up the sky. Part plane, part battle bird.
Attack pack battle birds! Unleash the beast!
Attack Pack Battlebird vehicles, each sold separately only from Hot Wheels.
What girl's gonna go for me with a body like this?
Hang in there, Tom. I'm you 2 years from now, because you're drinking milk and working out.
Well, I'm not changing so far.
But milk's at work inside you.
Oh, yeah?
And tomorrow the difference can show. All that protein for muscle and calcium for bones.
But I'm still a skinny bench warmer.
Hey, if the sight of yourself at 18 doesn't convince you, Tom, listen to your senior year girlfriend.
Hi, Tom. I'm waiting.
Milk. It does a body good.
with No Effects and Entropy and another band. I can't remember. Maybe it's the Grimm. I don't know who was the third band on that. But like through Texas and in the South. And that was it. That first tour in 85, even though all our stuff got stolen, I was just like, that's it. I was hooked. Good times.
Yeah, right on. Yeah. I can imagine it's been fun over the years for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there's downsides to it too, but for sure,
absolutely.
the reason I'm still here is like, still trying to do this is that there's a feeling there that's hard to give up. Like you know, it's just kind of, or I don't want to give up. and it's part of my identity. It's not a huge part. I don't go walking out into the world like, you know, I'm a punk rock dad. I mean, I am proud to be a punk rock dad, but I don't like, you know, I don't tell everyone about it, but I'm happy to be there and happy to be connected and to have that history. And it's also exciting to think about going out on tour and that if I sing songs, there might be people who like know the lyrics and enjoy it. And that's a great feeling that, for better or worse, it's almost like a drug where I can't let go of it. And so I, you know, part of my life has been built around that, sometimes for worse, for financially, for sure, for worse. You know? When I look at friends of mine that have like lived different kinds of lives that have like, you know, better financial situations, like having retirement funds, you know, having steady jobs and retirement funds. It's not just the punk rock, because also being a sound engineer has been a roller coaster of successes and failures and, you know, amazing times, and then times of being unemployed between tours. But I guess I've chosen some exciting like lifestyle things. By exciting, you know, you take some risks, and that the downside of the risk is that when things are bad, it can be pretty rough.
Yeah.
I've done like a couple of local tours around the state of Pennsylvania, so I have a rough idea of what you're saying, but nothing to the scale of what you've done. So kudos to that, and thank you for all those years.
Oh, thank you. So have you ever played at the Electric Banana? That was the place we played at the night our stuff got stolen in Pittsburgh.
No, never played there. I mostly played like coffee houses, and like what you're wanting to do is like houses, like people's houses. I knew, I'd be like, hey, I'm just going on a drive through the state. You know what I mean? Me and my guitar, and I'll play your living room for free, or, you know, $20 just to get me to the next town, whatever.
Nice.
It was fun, but I came home broke. So
yeah, I'm not sure how the financial part of it is so tricky. And I guess like I look through history and see the different people that I have thought were interesting characters. And it's not that unusual to have starving artists and there's a few Shakespeare's that maybe were successful at different points, or Da Vinci or whatever, but there's also just tons and tons of people who tried and were poor or even people who were successful but died penniless or whatever, for whatever reason. So I don't know. I try to console myself that way when I'm in good company. There's
This has been
yeah, this has been a deep one. It really has.
Yeah.
I don't think we've had too many interviews like this.
Oh yeah, we could lighten the mood a little bit. We could go more geeky, or we could go more deep. Your call. I'll say this. I do. You guys can edit it out if I get too dark. But no. I just want to mention this. So on the Punk Rock Dads thing, I really love being on there. But also I get depressed sometimes. Like just today, I read a thing about a guy talking about reconciling with his wife or not, or like different situations they're in, and I get emotionally involved in those things quickly. And so for me, it could be like a little trigger thing to remind me of things that have happened in my life or what I've gone through. And it's like, sometimes I feel like it's great to have the support, but also sometimes I feel like when I go there, there's a chance that I'll feel worse afterwards. So I'm kind of
it gets like that sometimes. It really does.
I don't know if I'm the only one, but sometimes I'm just like, wow, it's like
it gets very deep in there. It really does.
As far as feeling optimistic, it's kind of can you trust anyone? Because there's always somebody that's like, this happened and this terrible thing happened and whatever. And it's like, and part of me is just like, can I trust anyone? Can I, it makes me feel insecure about things and feel dark about my, history and personal issues and whatever. And so part of me is like, yay, Punk Rock Dads. And then part of me is just like, when I go there, there's a chance that I'll end up feeling depressed or worse afterwards. So I just thought I'd mention that. I might see if I'm not the only one who feels that.
Not at all.
No, you're not
at all.
One at all.
Not at all. It definitely gets a little overwhelming. There's so many positive things going on in there, but equally negative too. It's a little crazy.
Craig's right. Every once in a while, the ass hats come out in full force, and
that too.
And they kind of get dealt with. I guess.
Yeah. I think
That's
I was
when we
reading
summon
somewhere
Matt.
that. What's that?
That's when we summon Matt to take care of him, and then he goes.
He's our go-to guy.
Yeah, shut him down.
The enforcer.
But even if it's like, I understand that it's like a positive thing for people to have support, but and I'm not negative about that at all. I'm just noticing that on myself that it can have a detrimental effect on me. Trying to be supportive to other people sometimes sends me that way, and it reminded me of I read something where if you know other people who are getting divorced, you're way more likely to get divorced. There's something in our heads, it's kind of like a herd mentality of oh, well, this is happening with people I know, therefore, this is an option for me now, and it kind of, it just kind of changes the odds of how things happen because it opens your mind to different possibilities or expectations. I don't know whether it's, I don't know exactly how it goes, but just it's interesting that statistically that happens. So if I put myself in that situation and I'm constantly hearing about people who are having kind of negative family experiences, it puts my mind in a different place than if I didn't hear that story that day. It's kind of like just even reading the news and hearing just random murders or terrible abuse or whatever is going on. Just the negativity of that is enough to send me spiraling sometimes. I mean, there's always, you guys probably read the thing today, but there's just always horrible abuse or stuff going on or being uncovered from the past or whatever. And or some new shooting or whatever happening in the US.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That's again, that's why, I always turn to positive lyrics like yours. I mean, stuff that I could relate to instead of trying to get involved in stuff that could scare me into paranoia. And I learned a lot from that. I really learned how to approach conversations like that. Like, can I really help this? Do I have the experience to, or should I just kind of scroll along or move along? And, there's a lot of people that have been through a lot of experiences that can help a lot of things. And sometimes it's hard not to get involved.
Yeah. We all want to put in our 2 cents about everything, whether it's jokes or politics or family problems or let's talk about something non-controversial like religion. It's just so tricky out there.
Nothing can go wrong there.
Yeah.
There. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
No,
that's the thought that goes through every head before somebody comments on Facebook. What's the worst that could happen?
What would really happen if I said this? Am I going to change someone's life? Well, let me just say it anyways.
Or is my account going to be restricted for 30 days?
I don't think that's ever happened to any of us.
No, never.
No, none of us.
No. You guys?
I try to keep my mouth shut so that people don't hate my band, for anything.
Yeah.
So where I have the trouble is more in person. I have trouble not expressing myself in person because in the back of my mind is thinking, oh, I can be diplomatic. We could discuss this like adults. And sometimes it doesn't go that way. And it's, and sometimes it's just sad and frustrating. So I'm trying to learn how to keep my mouth shut but it's hard because there's also part of me that wants to be able to debate and discuss and whatnot. And it's really just,
but there's really no, to me, there's really no debate or discussion left because I'm right and I'm right. And that's kind of it. There's no, we kind of pushed out logical discussion on anything these days. It's kind of just, I'm right and that's it.
I found myself in an argument with a guy that was in a band recently and I actually really like him. And I apologized the next day. And I said, like, I shouldn't have even gotten into that. Like, the reality is that to have a realistic, for me to be able to express myself in the stuff we were talking about, basically economics and politics and interrelations thereof, I would need to basically write a paper, which would involve a whole bunch of research. And it would take me it would be like a dissertation, like for me to really like put the things in my background that make me think a certain thing would take not just hours, but like weeks, maybe months. And then for him to have to read through that and check the footnotes, like it's never going to happen. And there's no way that we could get that all in a verbal discussion or have the fact checking of like, well, the reason I think that is because in 19, like you have to go back and like, see, like there's a whole kind of thread of thought and support for different arguments. And there's no way we can do that orally. Yeah. There's no way we could do that verbally. And even if I wrote it, there's not very many people who would have the patience to look through it, nor would I probably have the patience to write it. There was a song I wrote called Wake Up and Smell the Fascism a while back. And that was kind of about that, was like kind of that at some point in my life, I was trying to have those arguments and discussions. And then I just kind of gave up on it because it wasn't worth all the research. Like, to be right, you have to research stuff and know facts. Yeah. But what's the point of knowing facts if you're just arguing with people who don't really care anyways, or just going to say, just going to just dispute it and say, oh no, that's not true. Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of work to be on the front lines of that kind of stuff these days, because you got to be educated the right way. And a lot of people choose not to be, but for the ones that are, paid work. Yeah, exactly. You're not in doing a place where we need to get paid if we want to feed our kids. Yeah.
Well, and most of the time, everyone's just waiting for their turn. they're not listening to what you say. They already know what they want to say to you. They're just letting you have your chance to finish, and then they're going to talk.
Yeah, because
anyway,
they probably have this argument, 20 times a day, so they know exactly how to go about it, and that's pretty much what it's come down to. We're experts because we're constantly conversing on the subjects we don't like.
Yeah. But I do like the idea of a research paper, Dennis.
If someone was paying me to do it, see, that's the problem. I mean, if I was going to college and getting some kind of credit for it or something, that might make sense. But I've thought about it. I thought about so I'm going to go down another geek path, and you could. I'm just going to kind of give you guys content, and you can include it or not.
Nice.
But I was just thinking about this the other day.
I don't care.
And there's things that when I was thinking about what do I do that's geeky, something kind of struck me, and I don't know if geeky is the right word, but it has to do with kind of what we were talking about, like kind of argumentation and discussions. And when I was in high school, I was a wrestler, and I didn't have time for much else because I was just focused on wrestling. But I had this class that was a government class, and I had this 20-page paper due in the class. But the teacher also had a mock trial. He was the leader of the mock trial team at senior high school. And so he basically knew of my predicament, and he thought I was a good debater. And so he basically made me an offer and said, hey, if you'll come and join my mock trial team, you don't have to write this 20-page paper. And so I was like, oh, well, yeah, you had me at not having to write a paper. And I said, but I won't miss any wrestling practices because wrestling's the priority. Like I am going to be like, kick-ass wrestler. And he's like, that's cool. As long as you like come to these little things and da-da-da. So anyway, I went to the mock trial thing, and with hardly any practice, I made it onto the team of the lawyers, the people who got in the hot seat and got to argue. And then we made it to the finals of our league, whatever, and we lost. But the reason we lost was because I had this epiphany during the final argument, and the guy who was our valedictorian of our class wouldn't give me the time to give my thing. So basically I suddenly realized that with the evidence, and I could tell you every bit of evidence right now. I could spend 2 hours describing the case to you right now. And this was 35 years ago, and it's a mock trial. This isn't a real case. This isn't real stuff that happened. This was an argument, essentially. And I remember every detail of that from 35 years ago. And I remember I suddenly had a breakthrough. I'll give you a little bit of it so you have like a bit of an image. The basic idea was this in a high school setting, a classroom got vandalized, and a girl had a dispute with the teacher or the principal or something. And so they were blaming her for painting stuff. And one piece of their evidence was that there was these gloves with paint on it found in her locker. So they had argued that she did vandalism with paint and then threw the gloves in her locker, which first off, that doesn't make any sense. But while we were finally arguing it, and so I argued, for prosecution and defense in different things. That's how the mock trial works. It spits you to either side. You have to be able to take either side. But all of a sudden, it just had an epiphany of the logic of it. Of okay, maybe it would be stupid for her to throw the gloves in. That you could argue, but what you can argue is that nothing else in the locker had paint on it. If the gloves were wet, there would have been paint inside the locker. So I was like, Homer, let me have a minute. Cause you have to bring it in while you're grilling a witness. Right. And in a mock trial, unlike a real trial, it's timed. So the clock's ticking down, and I'm like, Homer, he's like, no, I've got to ask these questions. Like, no, I'm going to win the case right now. Give me 30 seconds. No. Clock runs out. And if I would have said to them, isn't it true that there was no paint found inside the locker? Other than on the gloves, there was no paint found inside. That's all I would have had to say. And they would have, they're not allowed to say yes, because on the rules, the evidence doesn't say anything about that. So they can't say yes. They'd have to say, yeah, it's true. Yeah, that's true. And then in our final argument, we could say, so their argument is she took these gloves that were full of paint, threw them in her locker. not inside a baggie, not inside anything. So the paint would have touched something inside the locker if it was wet. So either the gloves never went in the locker, or when the gloves were put in the locker, they were dry. So who had dry gloves and put them in her locker? The principal trying to frame her. have we created reasonable doubt? That's reasonable doubt right there. Anyway,
that's awesome.
So 35 years later, I remember all this shit. And so part of me thinks, I probably should have been a lawyer or something, because I'm like really into that thing. But I also feel the same way about my last wrestling match. Like there was a time in the wrestling match where I could have won if I wasn't looking upside down at the clock. Like there was a moment of weakness, and that guy went on to win third place in the state. But right after that, he lost the next match, which put me out of the whole state competition. He lost the match to the guy who took fifth in state, but I had previously beat the guy who took fourth in state. So in the state of California is a pretty big state. So that was a big deal. But that was the end of my wrestling career. Boom. And so I'm not sure if the point here is that. So I guess my point was that 35 years ago, I remember all these details from things. And so I guess I geek out about, I'm not sure whether I geek out about arguments or about, I'm not sure how to define it. But part of me, if I don't do sound, I have a friend who does a kind of jury consulting and like witness preparation. Basically, like he's a psychology kind of guy, but he assists lawyers. And so part of me was thinking that in case, like if I went deaf or something, like not deaf, but if I can't do sound or can't perform, that would be like a possible career path to switch over. And then sometimes I think about those kind of things, like should you do what you geek out on? Like, should you pursue the things that you really seem to excel at or get kind of super compulsive about? Or and so several times in my life, I've thought about becoming a lawyer, going through the steps to do that. And that was one of those like kind of roads not taken. Like at several different times I thought maybe I should do that. And then some other opportunity happened that kept me doing sound, doing music, doing rock. So.
Yeah. I think we're all kind of on the same page there with that too, because we all took the jump to be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was a big one. We all really had to decide, what do we want to do with the rest of our lives? Basically, do we want to make this work or not? And it was a big step, but
yeah, because you have to say no to some things to say yes to this.
Exactly. Yeah. This is totally worth it, though. I would say no to anything for this.
Yep, absolutely. Talk fun stuff with people I love, so it's awesome.
Exactly. It's amazing how far we've come already.
Yeah,
it's not the same kind of
friends.
Yeah.
Sorry, Joe. But it's not quite the same, Dennis, because it's not.
Joe's kind of freezing up.
You're kind of freezing up, buddy.
Yeah.
Yep, Joe's kind of freezing up again. It's a night of technical difficulties. We're good.
But the feeling that you're explaining over the debate 35 years ago, and you can ask the guys in doing that public speaking, I got the same thing. And it's really hard to communicate to anybody else how you feel after being successful or knowing you could be successful at it. And I mean, for me too, I'm not going to call public speaking performing, but the rush that I get before I go talk to a crowd from 3 to 25 to 100 people, it's the same rush every time. And I live for that. And I'm not an adrenaline junkie and I'm not talented. I can't go play in a band or anything. So that's how I get my fix.
Yeah.
And that was a super relatable story.
Yeah.
I would say I was an adrenaline junkie. I'm not sure, how you're defining it, but I have lived like doing, motorcycles or wrestling or being on stage with punk rock. So I definitely have chased adrenaline. I'm not sure, but I think I understand what you're saying, that there's an excitement that that comes from that, as long as it's going well. There's also like can be negative stuff. Like part of me, like public speaking can be pretty daunting. But if you're comfortable in doing things that feel good afterwards, if you're getting positive reinforcement, it's great. And I'm sure that's pretty similar to when you play in the band and have people tell you that they enjoyed it.
I think the main difference would be just the instrument or the actual music part of it, because what you're doing is performing and it's an art. Like I suppose public speaking could be an art, but not like music.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, there's there was a thing a while back where they put kind of these brain scan things on Sting while he was playing and singing, and showed that there was something about also when you're singing and playing an instrument that your brain kind of lights up like fireworks, and video games are kind of similar too. Like, but it can be really invigorating to have all your brain all firing off like that, and and so I tried to, because of that, and even knowing that, I tried to a few years ago just start singing and playing guitar every day. Even when I was on tour with other people. And that's kind of where the acoustic thing started. Was I was on tour with Jimmy Eat World and Weird Al and places where I usually would get a dinner break. And so even it was just me playing in a closet somewhere, I kind of gradually went out into public a little bit at a time, but I was really just doing it to rehearse myself. And it was kind of it would wake me up. Like a lot of times I could either take a nap, like maybe I had an hour off or whatever. Like I could literally fall asleep because I'd be drowsy. So like a lot of the one, well, Jimmy Eat World, not so much, but like on a Weird Al one, I'd be up at 7 or 8 and then working till midnight or 1. And so you kind of hit a wall around like 5 or 6 usually. And if there's a dinner break, you might be able to swing a nap. But if I'd sing and play guitar, I wouldn't need a nap. I would just kind of pop back into alertness and be energized by that. And I think it's kind of like a brain stimulus to be doing that. So I think that's one difference between like having the music, at least with Sting's brain, they showed him like just singing, and then they showed him just playing bass or whatever he plays. And then they showed it like together, and it like the together was like his brain scan was just like, kind of neat.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and then I met the guy that did that. I met the scientist who did it, and that was pretty cool too. I was at I was invited to go to a Bohemian club in near San Francisco, and it was kind of interesting. There were people like that there, like scientists who were trying to get people to give them money or whatever. I don't know. I don't like basically it's a group of super rich people who
like a fundraiser.
Well, what it is that there's basically guys in this club it's a super wealthy, like, originally it was supposed to be bohemians, like artists and stuff, but it ended up just being like super wealthy people who had the money to keep doing it. And they meet every year or so in the redwoods, kind of north of San Francisco. They have this land and they have little cabins and whatnot, but they stay there for weeks, and they have lectures and concerts and plays and stuff. So they have they basically have a market for help with sound engineers and performers. So my uncle and my nephew play French horn, and so they play in these orchestras for the Bohemians. And so that's kind of their in with it. And then because of that, I met a sound guy that invited me out. And so basically I was doing sound for lectures and things, but it was interesting to see like Rupert Murdoch and Henry Kissinger and like Clint Eastwood said hi to me. I was like,
oh man.
Whoa,
yeah, like
awesome.
Weird stuff like that, like I mean, it's kind of goofy, but it also is kind of cool. It was also weird seeing like late at night, like all these super rich and like big people basically like were like drunk frat guys, just like what is the world coming to? Like these are the leaders of like the elites of our society, and they're just a bunch of drunk guys. Like Disneyland for rich people.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. Like there were like admirals from the Navy, like discussing things, and like it was really interesting to see like the people who were giving the lectures were lecturing the elites of society. So they were like the top people in their fields. And it was interesting to hear that cutting edge information and stuff go out. Get to hang out with people like that was kind of different.
Yeah, that's awesome. You seem like you really got a well-rounded like background, you know, just in your career of just random amazing people. You know?
Sometimes, yeah, I have seen a lot of interesting people, but I'm also a hermit who's just like sitting in Idaho making music, and like I haven't seen hardly anybody for a year and a half now, but yeah, I mean, I have had a lot of like the sound career has put me in a lot of interesting positions and met a lot of interesting people, but there's also been, you know, like horrendous financial times and lonely times where I'm just like, you know, constantly traveling and not getting to work on building relationships or people because I'm on a bus just going from city to city for months.
Yeah.
Like, and then it seems like your time is just going and you know, you're just kind of trading time for a paycheck. Sometimes is what that feels like. You know, it's like Groundhog Day. It's a different city. We're raising a PA. We're, you know, doing a sound check. We're doing a show. We're taking it all down. We're putting it back in the truck, going to, you know, taking a shower, going to sleep, wake up in the bus, go get breakfast, go put up a PA, you know, different city, same thing. And just like for months.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure like being on stage is a whole lot different from that being like out on tour yourself, you know?
Yeah. Being in the spotlight, it has a whole different set of, stresses and expectations and risks. The cool thing about being a technician for the most part is I don't have to worry about what I look like. I mean, there's a certain amount of professionalism or whatever, but it's not like when I'm the singer and they're going to be videotape or whatever, like people are criticizing my shoe choices or, you know, do I have a big pimple on my nose or like
he's wearing New Balance.
I brought that up one time. I was singing on this patio outside of Jimmy Eat World show in Europe, and it was like a video or something, and there was like, "Wow, great voice, but those shoes." And I was like, "I was working; those are work boots. What's wrong with you know, punk rock black work boots?" But yeah, I mean, that's the kind of thing. Like, no one would say, "Oh yeah, their concert was great, but their sound engineer had horrible shoes." Whereas when you're choosing to be in the spotlight, suddenly you're up for any kind of criticism, you know, whether it's your clothing or your looks or your anything, you know. So I like changing. Basically, I get bored in any one spot.
Yeah.
Just, you know, sometimes I crave attention, and sometimes I crave like just being left alone.
Yes. Yes. You can relate to that.
I feel that in the soul.
Yep.
Oh wait, I set my camera too low. I'm gonna get up here. Here's Mohawk Mark's Hawks Up Productions. I'm repping there.
Nice.
Speaking of Leduc, Mark's a promoter that's done shows out Edmonton and Leduc, and he's been super gracious hosting a like birthday party for me. Made an old man sign out of wood.
Oh, that's awesome.
Good guy. Out in your neck of the woods, some of y'all.
Yeah, I think that was one of the fellas that I was talking to about that. There's a couple guys in the Facebook groups that were everybody's picking dates and talking about like if we can share deposits and stuff like that. And I'm really excited for this fall. I think it's going to be. I think there's reason for optimism.
I hope so. I'm excited too, but it could go the other way too, where like somebody calls me and suddenly I have a job, and you know, considering with how rough it's been on sound engineers the last year, if I get a lucrative job, I should take it. Even though if I go out and do this acoustic thing, like it could be cool if I find enough people. It's just really a question of the hosts, like, you know, finding hosts every few miles, so it's not like a 15-hour drive or something. Like, I'd love to go to Florida, but I don't know if I, you know, there's quite a few states that I don't have a show lined up in yet.
Yeah.
There's like a bunch of people in Florida, a bunch of people in Texas, but nobody between Florida and Texas. So,
you still have to get there.
New Orleans and whatnot, but you know, yeah, like I think there's quite, like, just for example, I don't remember if I have a Winnipeg. I definitely don't have Thunder Bay. I'll probably harass Frank, the promoter up there, even just to do a show. And then after that, I can't remember if there's a Sault Ste. Marie. There might be, but you know, like that drive's pretty long from Winnipeg to Toronto.
Torture. It's torture.
Yeah. But yeah, like you really need something in Thunder Bay to make that not be just brutal.
You want to have a couple in there for sure. Taking it a couple of times, it's not a lovely trip.
Winnipeg to Thunder Bay is not too bad. Thunder Bay, the other side of it's pretty rough, I think.
To crest the Great Lakes is that's terrorism.
Yeah, and usually I've done it with the whole band, so there's different people to take, you know, a few hours of driving each. But if true too. If I'm on my own, or maybe just one other person, that's also going to be a challenge. So it'd be exciting.
Yeah, you run out of things to talk about really quick when it's just the two of you.
Yeah. Well, and also I shouldn't talk that. Like, I shouldn't spend 10 hours talking, or you know, or my singing voice is probably not going to be in too good a shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, then it's a really quiet trip.
Yeah. Well, I usually play background music while I'm driving, but or listen to something. But yeah, I mean, on any kind of those tours, I think Anthony, the guy who runs People of Punk Rock Records, wants to go with me. And but on any kind of those tours, I mean, you can't spend like 3 weeks with somebody and just talk their ear off.
Yeah.
We don't have that much in common, or that I don't even know what we would talk about besides you know, my mock trial.
Oh, you'd end up killing each other
35 years ago.
If I hear about this mock trial one more time.
Yeah. Well, also his native language is Quebecois, whatever. It's you know.
Okay.
So that makes it tricky too, or better.
It's definitely different.
Go again.
Yep, he is having some issues tonight. But
so, is it Dennis off the?
Go ahead, Matty.
I was just going to ask you, Dennis. I know I wouldn't ask you to pick your favorite kid, but on the acoustic
we only have
album,
two, so there's a 50-50 shot.
Well, I guess I should say I wouldn't want you to let them know which one you picked, but on the album, was there a song that you had more fun recording or more fun building up to a version you were ready to release on that album?
Oh yeah, I can share my favorite songs. It's funny you said that. It just reminded me of one time Prince said to me that he said, like, listening to somebody play my songs, like doing cover songs of his songs, he said it's like watching someone beat your child. You know, because he hated, like, when Foo Fighters did his song and stuff. He was like, just hated it. And the funny thing is, he liked doing other people's songs. But he just did not. But he said it was like watching someone whipping your child. But no, on Simmer Down, my two favorite songs were my favorite fast song or more aggressive song was Sarcasm Decoder, and that's why I put it at the beginning, because I just liked the aggressiveness of it and like full screaming and everything, even though it was an acoustic song, and I thought it was catchy too to have the little like Sarcasm Decoder. And I played a little show in Boise, and Seth Idle, a friend of mine who also performs and does stuff, did the show, but then I gave him a bullhorn in the middle. So in that song, he did that, like kind of unexpectedly to other people in the audience. Every time I said sarcasm decoder, he'd lift up the megaphone. He did it great. It was like sarcasm decoder. But kind of there's an echo there for people who don't know the song. And then my other favorite song on that was a sequel. Is another brand new song that I love singing it. I don't know. There's something about it. It's a slower song, but it's just kind of really from the heart. And I just love singing it. I love holding those notes and I don't know. There's something about that one. Some of the old songs came out great too. Like The Getaway really surprised me with the cello and everything. But the two favorites I would say would be Sarcasm Decoder and the sequel. Is it the sequel or just sequel? I can't remember now.
I think that was the very first song. The Getaway was the very first song by 10 Foot Pole I ever heard. And then after that, it was All In.
Nice.
It's such a great song. And then hearing the story about the story about the video with, just how much work you guys put into it. Never mind any of the stories behind it. Just, there was a lot to take in there, and it was so fun. That is I got to see what this band's doing.
That was, Brian Posen was in there with racing, playing with a little toy race cars. And there was all these different shots or different locations. And it was a lot of fun. And I didn't realize how sad that song was until we did the acoustic version. And I started like changing the chorus a little bit and repeating the chorus in it. And it's a bit melancholy. And I realized like part of me always felt like, oh, this song is just kind of goofy, like about a car chase or whatever. Like, because it was kind of, there were all these car chases, and I was like, I'm just going to write a car chase song because it's the 90s, and just saw all these different car chases. And, but then it, at least in hindsight, and especially after the acoustic version, I kind of felt like that was my, the Frank Sinatra, My Way kind of song. It was kind of like, I can't remember the words now offhand, but the basic idea being kind of like a retrospective at life, and trying and feeling like a whatever shame or regret, remorse, and wanting to escape. So that was kind of a interesting. Once I slowed the song down and kind of played with it a little more, it got a little more. And that's one thing I love about acoustic, is that some of the songs that just kind of sound all just frantic and rocking and whatever party, when you slow them down, is like got a much deeper message, I guess. I don't know if message is the right word, but kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And honestly, I prefer it. That's why I want to do the acoustic touring, is I just love it. I love singing and playing guitar, and I like rocking too, but part of me kind of prefers being able to just stretch the songs out and sing them and really get down with the acoustic guitar.
I always found that acoustic renditions of songs to be a little more fun, at least for me personally, like you're saying, just to play them however you want to and just draw them out, or you can even speed them up if you want to. You can make acoustic can be really fun.
Yeah. I am a really big fan of acoustic stuff.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be full band either. That's what makes it so great.
Yep. And it doesn't have to be slow. It can be whatever you want. It's like full expression. You could take something even you made popular and make it completely different on an acoustic.
Yeah. I love doing it. And I love, I just hope that it's not too much of the same thing for people listening. Like, I love hearing it, but I don't think I've ever been to I punished some people in Quebec. So I did a little acoustic tour a couple of years ago, and some of these were like house parties and stuff. And at one of them, I played for 3 hours, and people were totally into it. But then part of me was like, man, I should have probably just, there's a thing about you're supposed to leave the audience wanting more. And I think I played everything I could possibly play, or no, people kept asking for more. Maybe they were just being kind, but I punished them for 3 hours, and so part of me was like, yeah, I probably should hold these to an hour or so, because hearing just one person sing and play guitar for a long time could not be the leave the people wanting more strategy. And that's why on the record I put drums and bass and stuff too, is I didn't want to hear like just one voice and guitar. And I like drums. I just don't like cymbal bashing. That's my issue with the rock drums is like, I don't know. There's just something about just hearing psh, 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 going all the time that it just not just for my band, but for any band, like the hi-hat. I love a closed hi-hat. I hate an open I hate the open hi-hat. As a sound engineer, I just hate it too. Like, and because I always have to turn the hi-hat up so I can hear the, and then when they bash it, it's just like, if I don't have it like heavily compressed, it can be painful. And, so I don't know. So I put drums on there, but I also had like kind of a very minimal cymbal approach just because I don't want to hear all that swishing sound all the time. Even on the rock stuff, I'm still I'm looking at the drum tracks and trying to figure out how can I like keep these cymbals powerful, but not just dominating all the time. Because I think as drummers, they're like, that's the cymbals is kind of this expression, and some more than others, but they kind of feel like they have to be busy and just going and doing it. And depending how you got it mixed, it can be distracting from the song, I think. Yeah. That's just me as a sound guy geeking out here on Punk Rock Geek Den.
Hey,
Punk Rock Geek Denny.
Trademark.
Registered trademark. You guys, 3
That is fucking glorious. That is glorious. Well done, sir.
Well, thank you. It has been fun. I should have mentioned 10footpole.com. If you put all our stuff can be found at TENFOOTPOLE.com. So
Yes.
Links to all the social stuff, but I have I'm selling old memorabilia. I still have some old shirts and stuff left. I have one acoustic guitar left. And then there's a Patreon thing where if people want to be kind of get newsletters and stuff, there's that, and there's just different various news and merch and different things, but it all could be found at 10footpole.com, especially acoustic house party tours. In case anyone would like me to come and punish their friends, and you don't even have to pay for parking or a babysitter. Just have it right in your living room or backyard, depending on the weather. We could do it outside.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Backyard shows are fun too.
Yeah, they are.
But
hell yeah. Yeah.
I gotta ask you before we wrap up here. When you are punk related, I want to say it was yesterday. Your version of "Love Song" by Tesla was posted. And I gotta ask, were you guys given a choice on that compilation, like of what song to cover? Like, were you given like a list, or how'd that work out?
I don't remember the guidelines. I don't remember why my guys didn't want to do the cool, like Judas Priest songs that I wanted to do.
Right.
But they just didn't. They just had, I know we were talking about doing a Queen song and like some other stuff, but none of those were really metal. And maybe what it was that he only wanted to have like one song by each band. He didn't want any band to have more than one song. That might have been it. I mean, I don't remember. It was 30 years ago.
Right.
And,
Right.
But I don't remember the details. Like maybe it was that other bands had already like signed up to do an Iron Maiden song, so we couldn't do it. Like that he didn't want to have multiple representation on the record. I don't remember now the details, but for whatever reason, the guys wanted to do Love Song, and it wasn't my thing at all. Like I didn't even, I wasn't familiar with it at all. But it ended up being a good one because a lot of people liked it. But then again, if we would have done Turbo Lover, maybe we'd be huge now. And if you don't know the lyrics to Turbo Lover, I would recommend that you look up the Judas Priest lyrics to Turbo Lover, because it's pretty raunchy and very erotic. Some
but
very
I know
manly
for me,
love stuff.
Your but I know that, like I said in the comments, that Love Song was the song that got my attention on you guys, and from there I just dove in and
nice.
Just haven't looked back. So it's been an absolute honor to have you on. So,
oh well, thank you. I'm glad we did that song then, because probably if we would have done the Judas Priest thing, we would have got a whole different crowd and have like Guns N' Roses fans.
You never know. I know I'd still be there, so who knows?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean I loved all that stuff. Because I was a child of the 70s and like you know, for me music was just kind of mind blowing and really I embraced a lot of different things over the years, but I think around the ages of like 12 to 14 or 15, like those were like the, you know, Sabbath and Priest and AC/DC years and stuff. And that was pretty cool. Pink Floyd in that too. Right. But, you know, there was like 11 was like ELO, like the softer, more gentle Styx and ELO and Van Halen and stuff. Yep. Then I graduated to the like Mob Rules and the Black Sabbath and like just the darker stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of right before I really embraced the punk years, the punk stuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
We're very well rounded.
Yeah, very well rounded.
Yeah. As a music lover.
Well, as a sound engineer, I think, yeah, I have to be open to different genres and but I just like it, honestly. Like, you know, yeah. I mean, I listen to stuff that's, you know, embarrassing to say, like Selena Gomez and Taylor Swift and whatever. But I just like different. I just like different stuff. And you know, lately sometimes I do sound in clubs, and the stuff in clubs is like, it seems like it was written to be played at a strip club. That's all I can figure. Like the way the lyrics are, it's always about like selling sex and bagging a rich guy. Like not always, but a lot of it. And so it's like, and like just listening to the lyrics and like, I bet when they were writing the song, they thought we got to play something that someone is going to want to dance at a strip club to. Like, and it works. Like it like, I'm not putting it down at all. I'm just kind of curious about the rhetoric of that. Like, you know, so I was a rhetoric major at UC Berkeley. That was my, my background, like, cause I thought I might become a lawyer, and, that seemed like an interesting, thing to major in. I mean, I kind of meandered into it. I didn't go there thinking I'm going to be a rhetoric major. I just happened into that because it was kind of a wide variety of classes, and as opposed to other things that were specialized. Like I thought I'd be into history or political science or, you know, literature or something, but it ended up that I liked studying all of those a little bit, but not any one of them too much, and that kind of fit in rhetoric. So, so I enjoyed thinking about things like, so when they were writing this song, what was the audience like they were thinking? What was the context of like, because I have written songs thinking, I want to write a song that gets played at a hockey rink, like kind of, like, you know, something where people are just going to get pumped and go like, let's write a little like guitar part. I failed, you know, I haven't ever had that really happen, but I thought it was a worthy pursuit. And here reading the lyrics to some of those songs, like definitely like someone was sitting there going like, okay, like, you know, we want to write a song that is going to get played every night at a strip club because it's just so like focused on that. And that's legit too. Cause it's a because if it gets played at the strip club, then it'll also get played at the dance club. And from there it could be like a huge thing.
Yeah.
I need to start thinking more like that. Like strip club lyrics. So
you just, to get in that mindset, you just put a pole in your living room, throw a bunch of single $1 bills up there and get your acoustic guitar and just go to town.
A 10-foot pole.
You're 10-foot.
I was always too embarrassed to really hang out at strip clubs. I was too nerdy and too
I'm not
my religious upbringing and stuff, and also not just religion, but my politics. Like I just couldn't feel comfortable there. But I do want to write a song that people would want to play there. I don't know what that means about me, but yeah.
You should collaborate with Danzig. He did a whole 20-minute strip show skit in his movie.
Oh, really? I wasn't aware of that. The song "Mother" has always kind of did leave an impression on me, and it's kind of interesting. like talking about like the rhetoric of a song, like
yeah,
that's an interesting one. Because I try to write songs from a different perspective too, where like something's more memorable, and that like that's a memorable song. Like I'm gonna sing a song to your mom. Like you're cool, but I'm gonna sing a song to your mom and dad and warn them about how you shouldn't hang out with me. Like that's brilliant, isn't it? Tell your children not to walk my way. Yeah.
Oh,
tell them not to hear my words, what they mean, what they say.
Well, Dennis,
yeah,
it's been awesome talking to you, sir.
Yeah, it has been a total honor.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I loved it. Anytime. Like I love getting the invitation, and if I can be helpful to you guys in any way, please let me know. I'm just kind of out here trying to write songs, but
absolutely,
you have helped more than you know already. Lots of times.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I like to try to be a good member of the community and also like, chip in where I can. I tried to be in that mentor program, but that kind of went sideways because I was thinking I could be a mentor to people who wanted to get into production, like audio visual kind of people and stuff. But really the only people who seemed to get interested were like people that wanted to send me their demo tapes, which is kind of what I didn't want to do. It was like, kind of, I could give advice about being in a band, but it's just not as interesting to me. And especially not if it's just people who are trying to get exposure and trying to like work that angle. Like, that to me is just not fun at all. Like, I get depressed just trying to promote my own music and I don't have too much extra whatever the gas in the tank to go that direction. But if someone was like trying to become like a theater major or wanted to be a sound engineer for something, like I'd love to talk to them about that. And so I signed up for it, but then there were all these like different kind of all the prompts and things that came, and it was kind of got to be a little too much. Like you haven't called Joe in 24 hours. Are you sure you want to keep this mentorship going? Like, but
whoops.
Yeah.
Sorry, Joe.
Well, it was like getting spam from the software. It wasn't like a real person. It was just kind of like, oh, we've noticed it's been 3 days since you and it was like, I get the reasons for all that, but at some point, I wouldn't mind being a mentor if you guys, run into somebody who wants to be a sound engineer, but I'm not going to sign up for that because I don't want to get a whole bunch of spam about. From the real people who are spamming about their band, or from the software that's telling me that I need to talk to my mentor more frequently.
Your Padawan's suffering. Are you going to talk to him?
Yeah, don't make me get all Anakin.
You turned her against me.
Your mentor is hungry. Will you feed it?
Your mentor is also a Tamagotchi.
But yeah, I appreciate you guys, and please let me know if there's any way I can help. I'm around. If there's anything that you think I can be useful for, please let me know. Questions about sound?
Absolutely,
stuff,
for sure.
You'll probably see me pop up once I try really doing the acoustic house party tour. If that happens, like I'll probably post a little more and try to get some attention there, just in case there's any more punk rock dads that want to have a house party and not have to hire a babysitter to go see music.
Hell yes.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll share all that for you. Absolutely. We'll plug that for you. No problem.
Absolutely.
I know we're all pumped for that to get started.
Yep.
But again,
I love that idea
for coming on.
Yeah.
And Joe, we know you've been having some technical difficulties tonight.
Yeah,
buddy.
We good.
What do you do?
We good.
Absolutely.
Shit happens.
Yep.
Gentlemen, this was fun. Another episode in the bag. Dennis, thank you again, sir.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And best wishes to all you guys and hope to see you soon.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We'll look forward to it.
Yeah.
You'll find me arguing with someone on the internet.
Yeah, we could have some arguments here and there. I just don't want to do it in the public forum where people are like, I didn't like what you said, and I shall go see your band again. Gonna boycott you and tell all my friends that you guys are mean. We're worse, that you guys suck.
Review you on
Thanks again, guys. We'll take care and hope to see you soon. Cheers.
For sure.
Take care.
Absolutely, Dennis. Take care. Have a good night.
Dennis, take care, brother.
Good night, guys. Bye-bye.
Good night.
There we go. That was a interesting go. He's a great storyteller.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. Sorry, folks. You want to see commercials in this one? You're gonna have to wait for the beginning and end.
Yeah. Here's a commercial.
Yeah. Oh man.
Brought to you by the number one.
Solid.
And the letter F.
That one. That one right there.
And the letter U.
And then the letter C.
There's a couple in there. Sutherland Grover, we're not spelling the whole word. Sesame Street gives you one number, 2 letters. That's it. Hey, James, how proud are you of me that I was very vague about talking about obscure music? I came this close.
What?
I came this close to talking about Hamilton 3 times. Didn't do it once.
Well done. That's all I gotta say.
You nailed it.
He even gave me the chance to bring up Weird Al, and I just right up to the line. I saw a look on your face, and then I backed right away. Yeah, Dennis, he rapped on the new one too.
One
like
day
he knows me
one
too.
day we're gonna nail somebody on Hamilton. We're gonna get somebody on here that's like, I love it.
It'll be episode 790, and it'll actually be Lin-Manuel Miranda on his way out. So what are you into, Lynn? I'm into Moana. Okay, let's go.
Let's talk about it. But boys, this is fun. We're all I know I'm having internet issues.
Yeah.
It's been rough.
Yeah, this was a rough episode for internet issues.
Well, when we get off here, I'm gonna call the internet and I'm gonna see what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
Looks like there Joe switched to the phone.
Joe switched to his phone.
Well, he's just got to connect to the audio. Well, let's wait for him. He get a chance to say goodbye too.
Oh, there you go.
All right.
There you go, Joe.
Joe, meet Joe.
It's weird. I'm seeing 2 of you again.
That's what I said, Joe. Meet Joe.
No, we were just saying it's been rough on it for internet issues with this episode.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on my end.
No, I've had them too. So you're not alone.
You're not alone. I think I felt like mine was skipping in and out too.
There's a baby that just woke up.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we were just wrapping up, Joe, so it's all good, buddy.
Yeah, we just wanted to give you a chance to say goodbye too.
Yep, I guess that's a good night, folks.
Good
night.
Cheers from the Geek Den. Till next time.
Till next time.
You've got a Pepsi generation way of tasting life. I can see it in your style, your look, your laugh, your smile. Come on, come on, come on, come on. You're the Pepsi generation, sharing one great taste for life. Pepsi's got your taste for life.
Fun.
Thing is inside a wacky monster rider. It's a Dracula monster, an ooey gooey slime. You can have a good time with the treat of the deep. It'll float and ooze and seep. You can write to a friend with a mushy Martian pen. Something is inside a wacky monster rider.
Wacky Monster Rider, Creep of the Deep, Mushy Martian, Dracula, so separately by Lakeside.
Can't hit you at one moment, punch you right between the eyes, take away what you hold so dear, leave you so surprised. Riddles and the questions haunt you, answers dwindle by and by. Conquering new territory. Life seems like a lie. They'll tell you, son, the show must go on. Don't leave the stage to the last chord of my song. They might not be in the crowd, but they're still a part of your sound. They'll tell you, son, the show must go on. Remember always, son, do good things. That's what my dad used to say. Every morning he would drop me at school to start a brand new day. They tell you, son, the show it must go on. Don't leave the stage to the last chord of your last song. They might not be in the crowd, but they're still a part of your sound. They'll tell you, son, the show it must go on. The show must go on.